It's the Locked On Flyers podcast for Friday, October 20th. Your daily dose of Flyers news, analysis, and high quality content that was really excited for Cam Atkinson getting two in the game last night.
Yeah, he was thrilled in the locker room too.
He had a great game. The Flyers defense had a great game. We'll get into that. Plus, preview the weekend matchup against the Stars, all on today's show.
Your Locked On Flyers, your daily podcast on the Philadelphia Flyers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, and thanks for making Locked On Flyers your first listen every day. I am Rachel Donner. You can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at rmiriam. I'm here, as always, with Russ Cohen, who's on all your favorite social media apps at Sportsology. And as a show, we are at Locked On Flyers on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Twitter as well. You can subscribe or follow us for free over on YouTube. We're on the SiriusXM app. Anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, download our latest episode as soon as it's available here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Russ, I'm excited. We're doing the post-game parking lot recording as
Yep.
you have just left the Wells Fargo Center after a pretty solid night for the Flyers.
Yeah, it's a complete game for them. I mean, really good game, start to finish. Uh, most lines played really well. There were some times in that first period you kind of wondered how this game was going to go because for a while they couldn't touch the puck, but they got some key goals. They got some good saves from Carter Hart. He didn't get overly tested, but he did what he had to do. And the one thing is, I took a lot of heat on Twitter because that Sean Walker goal, like Jack Campbell should have stopped that. Like there's only one place that Walker could have gone with that puck, and he did. And I sit next to a goalie, and he was like, yeah, he was too far over, and he barely just flailed at it with the blocker. But Cam Atkinson agreed that that goal turned the game in the sense that after that, I saw the slumping, and I tweeted, hey, I didn't blame the game on Jack Campbell, but I said that killed morale. And you can see
Yeah.
it. Edmonton still got that problem where if that bad goal goes in, man, they just are not the same team after that. And the Flyers kept their foot on the gas. Good for them.
Yeah, they really did. I thought that just defensively, they were so well structured in this one. And you're right. At first, I was like, well, maybe this is going to be to the detriment of any offense. And we had said in our preview that they were going to have to score at least 3 goals in this one
Yep.
to win. They scored 4, which great. Love that. Love to see
Yep.
it. And it turned out to be more than enough to win this one because you're right. I think, when you are a team that has such high expectations like the Oilers have, like sometimes the smallest thing will get you down. And that is very apparent what happened in this one. Yeah, I think, on that Zach Hyman goal, sure, the back door got left open. It was definitely a mistake, but
Well, that back
once,
door was open for 2 periods. Like they've been trying
yeah,
that since the
yeah,
first period.
yeah, that is true. But Carter Hart came up big when he needed to, and for the most part, they were able to prevent the Oilers from getting really well set up in the first place, and the Flyers were resilient. And I think again the penalty kill was pretty strong.
It was.
And really, again, the only weakness of this team right now is the power play. But I did think that one power play in the third period looked really strong, and they had much better puck movement than they had
It,
had before.
it was better, but that's it.
Yeah.
It was
Right.
better.
Yeah, like the results still wasn't there, but yeah, I am overall really thrilled with this game. And it was just really remarkable to watch. And I know you were there in person, obviously, but watching it on TV with the broadcast, I feel like sometimes national broadcasters get flummoxed when like McDavid isn't scoring.
Right.
And it was it was just like they just didn't know what to say when the
Yeah.
Flyers of all teams were shutting them down. And I like it when that sort of stuff happens
Oh,
for the
sure. I
Flyers.
mean, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You know, when you do a national broadcast, you still have to be prepared for anything. And I guess it probably took them by surprise. It definitely took me by surprise, but you could see, like I said, after a while that it was going to happen. And even late in that game, they were still trying to score. And that's something where that probably lacked in the latter half of the season last year for the Flyers. So look, it helps having Couturier and Atkinson in there. Atkinson's
Yeah.
really, really good. Couturier still there's some issues there, but Atkinson was really, really good, and it definitely helps having him in there. I mean, there's no question about that. Mark Stahl, I'm not sure he'll play next game, uh,
Right.
so that may solve the Zamula problem. And then we'll see after that. Again, they may just keep the same lineup, and if they do, then Morgan Frost isn't going to play for a third game, which again I won't be happy with because like I understand you don't want to change the winning lineup, but when you do say you're going to rotate in, I do think Frost should get rotated in. But will he? I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, it'll be a really interesting question to answer. We talked about um really Morgan Frost needing to play on a more regular basis. And I think that it's going to be really important for him to check in to one of
Yeah.
these next couple of games. Absolutely.
And Sam
Yeah,
Ersson too.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens there. But I do want to talk about Bobby Brink a little bit in this one because again showed some really strong flashes in this one, and man, he wanted it so bad.
He did. I mean, he got an assist. He did get pushed around a little bit, got crunched on a play, but he had a better game than last game. I'll say that for sure. And yeah, he got a point, so he's going to be in there. Forster was interesting because it didn't seem like things were going his way in this game. They just didn't seem that like it was going to happen.
Well, I did think that that line in particular, Lawton and Konechny, I think had a few chances there, but I felt like that line was a little discombobulated at
Yeah.
times. So I don't know that it was just Forrester. I really felt
No,
like
that's fair.
Konechny had some issues as well. Lawton, I think, just looked his strongest on the penalty kill as
Yeah.
per usual. But he always comes up with a play or two in every game that are, is just incredibly impressive. So but I think as a unit, maybe there was just something off there. But luckily, there were other lines there that were contributing. And I really thought Owen Tippett, while he didn't score a goal, he got 2 assists in this one. And one of them especially was a very strong feed. And I just thought he looked a lot better in this game overall.
He did. That first one was a really good setup.
Yeah.
No question about it. I guess it was Atkinson's first goal, maybe. Um,
Hmm.
really good setup, good backhand feed. That was nice. That was really good. Second one, yeah, still a good play. Just the first one was impressive. So, yeah, I mean, if he's going to contribute that way, it's fine. They're still going to need his goal scoring down the road, but this was a good game for him.
Yeah, I just think this line with Tippett and Couturier and Atkinson could be something they'll want to keep
Mm-hmm.
for the foreseeable future, just because Couturier is again really strong with the playmaking and
Yeah,
with the vision, and he's just so smart out there. But then Atkinson and Tippett are providing the speed that they
yeah,
need.
yeah. No question. It's a good mix.
Yeah, I like it too. But yeah, there is a lot to take away from this game that is good. And hopefully, this momentum continues when we move forward to playing Dallas on Saturday. And we will talk about that game coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. I look better and feel great wearing Birddog shorts and pants. Their stretchy fabric makes my legs look great and they're comfier than other shorts and pants. They give me freedom to wear one pair of shorts, no matter if I'm doing yard work, walking, tailgating. Me, it's driving long distances, all kinds of things. And now my washer is broken, so it's actually good. I'm saving. Their cloud knit fabric just looks like khaki, but it stretches, so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Plus, Bird Dogs uses anti-sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Bird Dog shorts are perfect for that day when you just, going somewhere and you're going to be there for a long time and you want to be comfortable. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL and enter promo code LockedOnNHL for a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnNHL for a free water bottle at checkout. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off, we promise you.
All right. Next week on the show, we have so much going on. It's that big day on Tuesday where every NHL team is playing, and the Flyers have the latest puck drop in Las Vegas at 11 p.m. So it'll be a big Flyers after dark. Plus, we'll see the Minnesota Wild. In the meantime, the next team that the Flyers will be facing is the Dallas Stars on Saturday, and they are playing the Ducks late night last night, so we don't have the results of that game yet. However, prior to that, they were 1-0-1. Most recently, lost to those very Vegas Golden Knights in the shootout. I think this Dallas Stars team has a lot of expectations on them. They're pretty deep in the lineup, especially on the forward side.
Yeah, this is an elite team. It is. They're big, they're strong, they're fast. So they can beat you in a multitude of ways. You're hoping you're not facing Jake Ottinger, but if you are, that changes things drastically too because he's a top 10 goalie. So again, while the evaluation process is going on, Rachel, you still have to figure out how to put your team in the best position so that at least, even if you're going to lose, you're going to get something out of this and you're going to learn. And so this is going to be a tough one because they're really balanced. Those top three lines can all kill you, and even the fourth line's pretty talented. But those top three really are among the best top six in the league. So the fact that Wyatt Johnston, has been playing third line center tells you something. I mean, I think he had like 23 goals last year as a rookie. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, this is a very, very good team, and they're very well coached. And so you really have to outplay them. And so you can't beat them at their own game. The best thing you can do is this is one where they have to hold on to the puck. You can't have these weird clears. You've got to cycle it in the zone. You got to try and keep them on the ice for a long time, tire them out, because otherwise they're just going to get you. Their blue line will just kill you because Miro Heiskanen is still underrated. That whole second pairing, too, of Lundqvist and Esa Lindell has been really good. And Thomas Harley is a potential star in the making, too. So lots of speed, lots of everything on their blue line to push the puck. So you can't sort of just go into the zone, take a shot, and then have to go back and hope to defend. You know what I mean? You can't do it that way.
No, not at all. And going back to their forward line, so Rupe Hintz had been day to day, but is back in the lineup and played that last game. Is their first line center with Jason Robertson, who had one of the most incredible seasons last year, and Joe Pavelski, who is still going strong. And
Yeah.
that is a tough top line. And their second line has Matt Duchene centering Tyler Seguin and Mason Marchment. And I feel like Marchment is the one kind of Achilles heel in a lot of ways in their top six, just because he takes a lot of penalties and
Mhm.
he does not really play any special teams time at all for Dallas. So I think like if you can draw a penalty against him, that is a good strategy for a couple of reasons. Their special teams have been, again, prior to last night, very fascinating. Love these early season stats because they're amusing, but they have been 100% on the penalty kill, no goals allowed in 7 attempts, but in 6 attempts on the power play for them, no goals scored. So their special teams are like inversely perfect in a good and bad way.
Yeah. Well, here's what I look at. I'm looking at 5-on-5. Like I'm thinking Torts is going to go with the fourth line to match up against these guys to try and match up against Robertson and try and be tough and keep him away from the net, and maybe even have that Stahl Sealer pairing that to try and clear the net. But the problem is when you have all these guys trying to hit you or playing around the net to keep it clear, they can score on the perimeter. All these guys have great shots. Robertson has a tremendous wrist shot. Joe Pavelski can score anywhere on the ice. So while they do score down low sometimes, you've got to have the lateral movement to be able to cover them all around. So, to me, you have to have York and Sanheim out there or whoever's going to be healthy at that point to at least try and cover things that way. But I don't know. I don't know if they have a line that can cover this line, to be honest. And it's not taken away from them. It's just saying this is a great line.
Yeah, but even the Stars' fourth line, Dellandrea, is an excellent penalty killer and is so solid defensively that even when their fourth line is out there, it's going to be tough for the Flyers to get solid offensive pressure.
Right. So if they go 4-on-4, it's just going to be like boring hockey. They're both going to do the same thing.
Right.
They
Exactly.
really are.
That's actually really funny. It is pretty. Their fourth lines are pretty similar when you really think about it. But yeah, you're right about the blue line as well. Ryan Suter and Mira Heiskanen, just like that is an excellent top pairing.
It
And
is. And Suter's getting
I
on in age, but he's still handling the minutes.
right, and that's like a good solid, top pairing. I would say he's their number two, like to Heiskanen.
Yeah.
It's just the sides of the ice in terms of the order you say their names, but I do think that he's still got it in a lot of ways, and especially paired with Heiskanen, who has all of the speed and more of the aggressiveness these days. I feel like that balances out really well.
Yeah, and even since like the double hip surgery, Sagan's still a threat. He's not quite the same where he's like this huge offensive threat, but he's a threat 2 or 3 times a game. That's what he is. And you sort of have to, make sure you don't lose track of him because he still has some really good moves and a really good shot. Like the offensive acumen's still there.
Right. Now, here's an interesting question because to me, I feel like this is a game that maybe you put Sam Ersson in to get
Mhm.
him a game. Like, do you think that's a possibility?
On the road. Yeah, I guess it's a
Knowing that the next game is that late night game in Vegas that you
right.
absolutely are putting hard in.
Right. Yeah, I think you do. That's what I was thinking about in the back of my mind. I think you're right. I think you do have to do it that way. Both games are tough, man. I mean, it ain't going to be easy either one, but I think that is the best way to go.
Yeah, I know like the Flyers have had a problem with overplaying hard, and only using the other goaltender in back-to-back situations, but I just really feel like with Urson, he's got to play.
He does have to
And
play.
I hope that John knows this and recognizes this, and this would probably be the best game to slot him in looking at the schedule.
It would be, and it would be really a smart move, honestly. Also I did see in an article in Spectre's Hockey where Frank Saravalli was talking about goalies that could be traded. He mentioned Sandstrom and Urson. And I did tweet, and I'll just for people that don't follow me on Twitter, I tweeted that there's a 0% chance that Sam Erson's getting traded. They didn't sign him to a 2-year contract so they could trade him the next season. It's not happening.
No, Sandstrom is absolutely the guy that would be on the trading
Oh,
block
for her
here
too.
for
Either
sure.
one.
But yeah, this is going to be a tough battle in Dallas on this road trip that the Flyers are taking, and we'll see how this one fares. We'll be back to talk about it on the Monday show, of course. In the meantime, this season is 3 or 4 games old, maybe 5 for a couple of teams, and it's always a good time to have like really dumb early storylines in the league. And so I thought we'd talk about some of those coming up next. You know that feeling when Travis Konechny scores a hat trick? If you want to get that feeling and win 100 times your money, play daily fantasy hockey on the Sleeper app. To have a chance at winning big, you need to play daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our top choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey. With Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. You can also play fantasy NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and college football on Sleeper, and entries can be made in under a minute. With elite players like Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and Austin Matthews, plus the new guys like Connor Bedard, all you need to do is make more or less picks on stats for these stars. You choose from stats like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more. You heard me, Flyers fans. You can get up to 100 times payouts on Sleeper. So start paying attention and get your picks right so you can win big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL, all one word. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. All right, Russ. So the NHL season is young, but there are still some early storylines to either underreact or overreact to early in the season. And I think, one of the stories that's starting to emerge is about the Washington Capitals, and people are starting to panic there a little bit. They're 1-2 to start the season, and I think I saw a stat out there. Alex Ovechkin went 2 consecutive games without a single shot on goal, unheard of. Should Capitals fans be worried?
Yeah, they should be worried. I didn't pick them for the playoffs for a reason. I still felt like they're heading the wrong way. They're trying to prop up. I mean, I get it. Like guys like Oshie, they're not the same. And I'm not trying to kick Ovechkin while he's down, but I didn't think he was going to break Gretzky's record, and I still don't. I knew at some point he was going to start slowing down, and maybe he'll start scoring again, and everybody will be like, okay, nothing to worry about. But this is a little bit worrisome. And again, they were hoping that Kuznetsov would be back to what he normally was, and he had that nice shootout goal, or some people hate it. But either way, he scored on it. But there's just not enough good things happening with this team.
Yeah.
It's just not enough.
Yeah, I think, the other kind of general storyline that is applying to a couple of teams is regression, right, from
Yeah.
last season. And I think, the team that's been the most in that conversation is the Seattle Kraken. But there's a little bit of worry about the Devils on that front, which I think that is unwarranted. I think the Devils will be fine. The Kraken, though, I think there is something to it with the regression.
Yeah, I'm worried about the Kraken for sure. I think there is going to be a regression. You could almost say it seemed pretty logical that it would happen based on goaltending that they got last year, which was way better than anybody thought. Like I said, I like Jared McCann, always have, but 40 goals, that's a lot. He wasn't going to get that again. Uh, they're not even using Shane Wright at the moment. All those
Hmm.
kinds of things. This is, do I want to? I don't want to fall back on this as what I always think, but these are traits of Dave Haxtell that after he made the playoffs started happening, and
Yep.
they're sort of happening again.
Yeah, that's the thing that I worry about is that when his coaching takes a nosedive, as we know, it really takes a nosedive. And
Yeah.
so I do worry, especially like I want to check back in with the Kraken in the second half of this season because that's when things could really be going astray. I would say on the other end of things, you look at the Atlantic Division, and, I think the conversation there is that the Bruins are back, everything is gonna be okay, but that the Ottawa Senators and Detroit Red Wings are off to a really good start. Obviously, we saw Ottawa already, and they look pretty good.
Yeah, Ottawa, I think, has most things under control except Shane Pinto. Um,
Right.
don't love the goaltending, but it's okay. Everything else I like. I mean, I love their blue line. I think their blue line's ahead of most of these other teams. So I do feel pretty good about Ottawa. I don't know if they're a playoff team per se, but I feel pretty good about them. I still, you're going to have to talk me into the Red Wings. I watched them the other night. They're giving up a lot of goals. And yes,
Right.
they're winning some games, some high scoring games. Can they sustain that? I don't know. Is Brink going to have a goal a game for the rest of the year? No. So I just kind of wonder about that.
Right. And that's what's so interesting to me because you look at that goal differential and Detroit is only one less than Ottawa in terms of that goal differential. Ottawa's at +9 and Detroit is at +8. So they're clearly getting the goals that they need. But Detroit, it just does not feel sustainable in a way that maybe it will be with Ottawa. And I
Yeah,
think,
like
again, I think
Pittsburgh started coming back against them last night, the last game.
yeah, yeah, I think that's spot on. In our division, I think Carolina is doing a good job so far withstanding, all the injuries they have is taking, it's an enormous blow to their team, but they seem to be so far weathering that storm.
They
Haha,
are,
with
and
the
I think,
hurricane.
yeah, they are weathering the storm. I still don't love the goaltending. We'll see who ends up
Right.
being the goaltender there, but they have enough. Like they're a good team.
Yeah, and then, out west, I think Vegas is definitely the story early in the season. They have been playing extremely well to start the season, although it did take a shootout for them to win their last game, but they are 4-0 so far as of this recording. And so I think that's pretty impressive. Obviously, we saw what Vancouver has done to start the season so far, which, the Flyers being their one loss, I think is amusing to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, any other early season standouts or questions you have around the
Well,
league?
I question the Predators. I think UC Saros is in for the toughest year of his career. I just don't think the defense is as good as it used to be. I don't think they have enough offense. They'll basically pick up anybody on the trade wire. Um, I think Barry Trotz kind of knows what this team is and can't do much about it right now. So I think they're going to just be a disappointing team. The Lightning, we'll see what happens with all the goaltending stuff. Uh, I don't think they can hold on to even a 500 record until Vasilevsky's back, but they're going to try. The fact that they
Well,
have
and then with Stamkos is hurt too, I think that's
right,
going to be a
so
problem.
I don't want to be jaded or sound jaded, but remember, Stamkos is in the last year of his contract. I'm just going to leave that out there and let it hang.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think it's a great situation for them. Um, I was saddened to hear about Kirby Doc because he was starting to really do well for
Yeah,
Montreal.
he's out for the season.
He's out for the season. They weren't going to do anything, but his development could have really taken a nice jump. And now you wonder what's going to happen with that. So I do feel bad about that. The Panthers always are injured, so it's like I'm not that worried. I think basically with them showing resiliency at the end of last year, I think they could show that same resiliency this year. So I think that's okay. Uh, I look at the Leafs, their defense isn't the same. They're going to give up a lot of goals, but they have to score a lot of goals. They're kind of like in that boat. Um, Chicago, I think, may win a few more games than people think, but they're still in that bottom five. I don't think the bottom five is going to be all that surprising at the end of the year. But of course, at the beginning of the year, everybody's always more optimistic than they are, let's say, at the All-Star break or even a little before then.
Right. Right. Well, a lot of fun stories in the league so far this season that we will be keeping track of. That will do it for today's show. Thanks so much again for listening. And we will be back again on Monday with a recap of this game against the Stars we just previewed. Plus, we'll have our nemesis of the week. As a reminder, we always want to hear from you. So if you've got mailbag questions, send them in via Twitter at Locked On Flyers. You can email us at lockedonflyers@gmail or comment over on YouTube. I am Rachel. I'm on Twitter at rmiriam. That's RMIRIAM.
I'm Russ at Sportsology, SPORTSOLOGY.
Have a great weekend, everyone.